Glad to see you all tuning in once again from all over the world. Thank you guys for doing so. Let me start by introducing myself. My name is 𝗞𝗲𝘆. I am a holistic transformation, self-mastery, and extreme performance expert, transformational speaker, and leading outer. My goal through this conversation is to empower you, inspire you, and encourage you to take action on the amazing insights I'm going to share with you through this conversation and create a transformation in your life on a level of your health, body, and physicality, because this is the base we build upon, and this is where once we have this foundation stable, we can go and build anything we want. We can build Rome if we wanted to. And welcome for everyone who's tuning in a little bit late. My company, Venture Limitless, is a leading personal growth hacking agency, which I created about a year ago to serve individuals who are dedicated to excelling in each aspect of their life and creating an extraordinary life. So I specialize in extreme performance, empowering my clients to optimize each and every single aspect of their life and then stretch beyond what seems to be possible, because the only thing that's impossible is that you believe it's impossible. The moment you believe that something is possible, then there's a lot of doors that open to you and infinite possibilities of creating an extraordinary life on your own terms in each and every single aspect of your life. And today we're going to focus on the most fundamental aspect of life, which is health and well-being, and how to optimize your health. What are the things, the practical things that you can take away and run with tomorrow and start creating a dramatic transformation in your life that's going to just put you in a better space, mental space, emotional space, energetically, and all these things. So the first thing we're going to start this conversation with is something that I like to start each and every conversation. Why is it important for you to improve and optimize your health? Without a strong why, you don't have or will lack the rocket fuel that you need to get you through those moments when you feel like going gets tough and you want to throw in the towel and give up. What is your why? Why are you here? What do you want to learn? What is driving you to want to transform your life and take the time and put the effort to actually change your way of being? Because if you don't change your way of being, if you're just going to think that you're going to listen to some amazing information and insights I'm about to share with you and something's going to change in your life, well, good fucking luck with that. I'll be straight up honest with you. There's nothing's going to change. You're just going to be chasing after your tail. You'll be just chasing after more information. It's not about more information. It's about taking action on the information. So without a strong why, you don't have a strong enough reason to make the change. Because if you expect for things to be easy, to be comfortable while going and creating any transformation in your life, you're in Disneyland. So let's stop for a moment and really dig deep. What is your why? What if you do and what if you don't? What are you set to lose and what are you set to gain? What's in it for you, right? What's the reason driving you? Who's going to share with us first? Anyone having a clear why you're here, why you want to learn about how to better your health? Please go ahead and type it in the chat box. There's going to be interactive interaction, because through an interactive interaction, I can serve you a lot more powerfully. I don't just want to talk at you guys. I want this to be interactive. So feel free to share your why in the box, or unmute yourself and share so you can inspire others. All right. That's great. A lot of you left. That's awesome. All the people that probably thought that, I'm going to give you the magic pill to health transformation just left. Good for them. They're not going to waste their time looking for the magic pill, because there is no magic pill. If there was one, everybody will be taking it. Right? It's all about you get out what you put in. It's as simple as that. If you're willing to put in the time and effort, I will guarantee you that if you take action on all of the stuff I'm going to share with you today, it's going to deliver results and results time and time again. Because all the things I'm going to share with you are things I use in my daily life. It's things that I've used, optimized, tested over time, because I'm like the laboratory rat. You don't have to test on yourself. I've been testing on myself for a long time, which is something that you don't have to do. However, great. I love to hear that, Camille. Exactly. In order to be able to enjoy a high quality life, health is fundamental. It's what we build upon. So here's what I want you to realize, that even though I'm going to share with all of these information with you, a fundamental thing beyond the health department, meaning the things that we can do, is actually developing a high level of self-awareness. And the only way that you can do this is through embodiment and meditation. Because why am I saying this? It's very important, because if you have a high level of self-awareness, meaning that you're embodied in your body and you're very sensitive, you develop the sensitivity to how, for example, food is affecting you. Things that you do are affecting you, your energy, your mental concentration, and all these things, so you can judge directly about how the things you are doing that I'm going to recommend, meaning with your nutrition, with your exercise, with your sleep, and so on, is affecting you. Because if you cannot measure or judge if it's actually working positively or negatively, what's the point? There's no way for you to evaluate if this is working or it's not working. Because even though we're all human beings, we have human bodies, we not necessarily always work the same. Right? So this is why it's important. And what the meditation that I can recommend for you, if you guys not yet have a solid daily meditation practice, not only is it going to help you with self-awareness and being highly attuned into your body and embodied and knowing what's going on with you every single second, but it's also going to help you very much so for your mental and emotional health, because they're all interrelated. If we emotionally are fucked up, we are mentally fucked up, this is going to directly reflect on our physical health. And same other way around. If physically we are ruined, mentally and emotionally we'll be ruined. And yes, I do use profanity for dramatic effect. For those of you who this is not fine, feel free to leave, but it's part of language, and I love it. And if it wasn't for fucking, we wouldn't be here, right? So let's be honest and open-minded. Okay. I see what you're saying, Tanya. I appreciate this, but here's something I want to just point out. I'm not sure what is the specific reason, meaning like, are you doing this for yourself, or you just want to find out more information about your loved ones and share with them? Point being that when you're sharing information, the best thing to do is to actually be the example for others to follow, rather than trying to tell them what they are doing wrong and what they should be doing. Because the moment you start to do this, they start to defend themselves, because you trigger within them the fear of not being good enough. So you don't want to come from the perspective, oh, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this. No. First, embody it yourself. Become the example and lead by example. Be the example that they can follow. This is a great place to start from, because that's the only way, if you're actually doing it on behalf of your family, plus obviously it's going to benefit everyone. we all have room for improvement. Even though I'm extremely dedicated to my health, I'm always making improvements. For example, the one thing that I'm gonna share with you why I'm removing it, but the one thing I'm gonna be removing in the next few days from my life completely is coffee. I love coffee. I drink coffee. I've been drinking coffee ever since I know myself, and I drink it in the healthiest way, black coffee. But it's still a toxin, especially a toxin for the nervous system that keeps the nervous system overstimulated. So I want to remove coffee completely from my life. That's the one thing, and it's an old habit that I've implanted long time ago. So always looking for little places where I can improve and further optimize myself. So there's always room for improvement, but always be the example, because if you're a shining example of what's possible for your loved ones or everyone else, right? Then they'll be inspired to be like, oh, I want to do this. Or what are you doing about yourself? Like, how, look at you, how your skin is, how much energy you have, how radiant you are, how happy you are, like, you know, how full of life you are. This is fundamental, to be the example rather than saying what people are not doing right and what they should do instead. You don't want to be the person that's judging them or comes from that place, but you want to be the example. You don't want to criticize. The best thing to do is to encourage good behavior when you see it. So when you see those loved ones in your family demonstrating the behavior you want to see more, encourage them. That's the time to talk. That's the time to recognize, to be like, yes, you know, encourage them, be their champion, and celebrate that they're doing something right, and obviously take example from it and inspiration to do the same. So again, it's very important to have a strong why we want to do something, because if we don't have it, there's not going to be enough fuel left in the tank for us to complete the transformation that needs to take place. So let's move on to the next point. We've already been touching on this, but our body temple is the most priceless asset we have been ever gifted by the divine creator, the universe, whatever you want to name it. And sadly, most people realize this once it's too late. Once they actually lost their health and they have to do a lot about to regain it, right? We don't want to get to that point. We want to realize that our life experience that we are having as divine beings and souls is all through this amazing spacesuit called the human body. And it's an extremely, extremely priceless asset. And you don't get a second from it, right? Everything else you can buy. Another body you can't. Not at this time of age. Maybe one day. Maybe. Who knows? And even with things, you know, with things that wear out, like your knees, your hips, all these areas that can be replaced, that's also not something to look forward to or be like, oh yeah, if I mess up my legs or my hips, I can replace them. Yeah, you probably could, but it's going to be a pain in the ass for a very long time. So we don't want to mess it up. We want to take care of this asset as it's the most important thing we ever have a temporary lease on, because that's what it is. It's a temporary lease on this technology. And if you don't take care of it, nature is going to teach us a very important lesson. And maybe it's going to be too late for us to change how we are. Now, investing in your health is the most important investment you can ever make. There is no stock market, there are no commodities, there are no real estate, because if you're a billionaire and you're sick and dying, there's nothing your wealth can buy or do for you. Maybe you can extend your misery for days, a month, or whatever, but what's the fucking point? You'll be miserable anyways. So first, invest in your health, because once you have this taken care of, you can go out there and create whatever life you want from yourself. So always, 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 always invest in yourself, in your health first. Again, as Virgil, the Roman poet and philosopher, stated over 2,000 years ago, the first wealth is health. And that's where we want to build health or wealth, in that category of our life, our health, to get in a place where we know that we can go on. We have the energy, we have the focus, we have everything we need in order to manifest the extraordinary life we seek for. Now, this is a very important point I want to make. If you don't take anything else from this whole conversation, that would be the one nugget that you need to take. It's the most important one. 1 gram of prevention equals 100 pounds of treatment. What do I mean by this? Invest upfront into your health, because it's 10,000 times more effective than going and seeking the help of a doctor once you messed up your health. And I'll explain why. There is no such thing as healthcare industry. There is disease control industry, if you haven't noticed, because doctors do not deal with health. When was the last time you went and asked your doctor about health advice? Doctors deal with illnesses, with disease, with everything that's wrong, right? So they're specializing in illnesses, disease. They don't deal with health. They don't fucking have a clue about health. Most of the doctors, when you look at them, do they look as great examples of health and wellness? Think about it. That's why they're wellness coaches, right? People that specialize in nutrition, wellness, and so on. Most doctors don't even know what nutrition is. They don't even study it. All they know is how to prescribe chemicals. Now, this is great. Chemicals are great, but only if you want to treat a symptom. If you want to treat the underlying problem, now that's a whole different story. Because as you probably, if you take any prescribed drugs, if you look at the little legalities, it lists all the symptoms. Well, I don't know if you've paid attention, but there are a lot of illnesses, diseases, and so on that could cause the same symptom. So which one is it? Right? Treating a symptom is not going to solve your problem. It's about not creating a problem in the first place. So that's why prevention is the key. Always doing upfront the work, investing in yourself upfront, so you can reap what you sow, if you've heard this expression before. Because if you're not taking care of yourself, here's a very important sentence or proverb. If you don't make time for health, you will have to make time for illness. It's up to you to decide what you make time for. Choice is yours. We have free will, and we can make choices in our life. Again, if you don't make time for health, you will inevitably have to make time for illness. And as I mentioned, a gram of prevention equals 100 pounds of treatment. So the choice is yours. I'm sure you can do the math, which one is worth investing into. So that's a very fundamental point to come from, because there is no healthcare industry. There is disease management industry. This is what the pharmaceutical companies are based on. If they are there to heal you, right? Because it's one thing to treat a symptom, it's a whole different thing to heal you altogether. Because that means they sell you a pill, you take the pill, problem gone, amazing for you, bad business for them, right? It's a subscription model. Think of it this way. The healthcare industry is a subscription model. Once you subscribe, just like your mobile operator, just like your home internet and cable TV, they don't want to lose you anymore. You're a subscriber now. So they're going to keep selling you the same crap over and over and over again. And what you're doing in this process, yeah, maybe your symptom will disappear, But what you're doing in this process, you are toxifying your body because all of these fuels, they're loaded with garbage, like literally garbage. Have you read what's in it? So you don't want to get to this point. You want to be taking proactive steps up front so you don't get to that point. And even if you do, you'll be for the purpose of, let's say, again, injuries happen. That would be a good place to go to the doctor, right? The last time I really had to use a doctor was, 12, 13 years ago. I had a serious accident with my motorcycle. My middle finger I'm not pointing a middle finger at you, was severed from here. It had to be stitched back together. Now, at that point, yes, you need to go to the hospital, right, and see a doctor, a surgeon. But other than that, you might want to stay away, especially for the chemistry part, the pharmaceutical industry, right? So I'm not totally against the so-called healthcare, but it has its uses when it's immediate. As we are speaking about health, the two most fundamental elements to great health are first nutrition and second exercise. Now here's an important point I want you to understand. Out of those two, nutrition is 80%. Exercise is 1/5 of it. If you get your diet, and by diet, I don't mean starvation, right? I don't mean you starving yourself or you're limiting yourself on food and so on. Diet is the way you eat. Every single living being has a diet, meaning it's natural, most effective type of food and nutrition it consumes on a regular basis. So if you get your nutrition straight, you can be sure that everything else, as long as you don't have to be an athlete, right? I'll share with you great ways to exercise and so on, but you don't have to be an athlete. As long as you move daily, you take a walk, you stand up, like I don't know if you can notice, but I use a stand-up desk and I stand up all the time for hours, and it's totally fine. If you have a low back problem, this will solve your problem. I can guarantee you that, because human beings are not designed to sit down for a long time. This is actually hurting you very, very badly. And not only is it messing up your lower back, but it's creating a blockage in the flow of energy, because the energy in our body flows through the spine. And every time your spine is not straight, you are creating a blockage, or you're complicating the free flow of energy within your body. So you always want to be, even if you're going to be sitting on the chair, make sure that your spine is straight rather than being laid backwards or forward. You don't want to be messing up your spine. The spine is the most important channel within the human body. It's the highway to heaven, if you want to. So moving from that point, nutrition is the most fundamental thing. And why do I say nutrition, not food? Well, we're going to unpack this important topic much, much deeper than this. The first thing we're actually going to start talking about is what not to eat or consume, right? Because this is the first place where we can make the most significant improvement. By getting rid, this is the first thing you can actually take action on tomorrow. So I want you now to decide what is the worst food or drink you're enjoying daily or very often, but I would say daily, that you commit today to get rid of or stop eating or drinking. What is it? Type it in the chat box and make a commitment in front of everyone today. Obviously, we cannot hold you accountable to it, but commit to something today. This is the first step you can take today, because again, it's all about taking the knowledge and then applying it directly. Sugar, great. That's a great thing to get rid of your life, especially processed sugar, right? Because there's a lot of ways to go about it. I don't recommend necessarily taking away fruits and all that kind of stuff, but definitely processed sugar and all things processed foods with sugar, definitely. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but if you read the ingredients on every piece of processed food, there's always sugar added. And I'll explain why. But sugar, absolutely. Absolutely, Elmira. Absolutely. Okay, okay, yeah, absolutely. All this, whatever you think is the worst, remove that from your life. And especially again, if it's something that you have a little bit once in a while, then this is not gonna make significant impact. You want to remove something that you're eating daily, right? Because this is gonna make the most significant impact. Because for me, just like the example I gave you with the coffee, I drink coffee daily. I just have 1 cup, but it's still 1 cup daily. Right, so we want to break those habits and replace them with some healthy alternative for this, because there are plenty. You can have chocolate, but not white chocolate, right? You can go and buy dark chocolate and enjoy dark chocolate that has no added sugar in it. And actually, I'll tell you how to even make it, because this is something I've been developing now. And I'll be launching later on in the year on the local farmers market. But you don't have to necessarily stop eating chocolate. You just need to be very particular about the chocolate you purchase, because there is chocolate with no added sugar that you can enjoy. So removing the foods, and I'll give you great examples now what I mean, what are the things not to consume. Most fundamentally is you want to take a step-by-step approach of eliminating all processed foods from your life. And I do mean all processed food, because all of it is fucking junk, and you're literally poisoning yourself every single day when you eat it. Because what these goddamn companies do is load it up with nasty fucking chemicals that allow it to last for a long time on the shelf, and all of them are carcinogenic, right? So all you're doing is you're killing yourself slowly by thinking that you're doing something good for your health. The other thing is that they figured out how to trick our taste buds. So something that is made out of disgusting chemicals could taste amazing and smell amazing. Because, for example, if you know what, right, you go to Sephora or any of those stores, I'm not promoting anything, but all of these nice fancy stores for different colognes and perfumes and so on, they all smell so wonderful, don't they? Well, they do, but if you know what kind of crap they put in it, you're probably gonna puke. All of it is carcinogenic. All of it is garbage, like literally all of it. But it can trick our mind to smell so nicely, to smell like something natural. So you want to be moving away from processed foods completely. If you can do it, fucking amazing. This is something to aspire to, because I know a lot of you who probably have like this fast life and you're just busy doing things and so on and so on. It's been a challenge for me that I can proudly say that I've completely removed from my life. I do not eat or consume anything processed. If it's processed food, I give it away. If somebody gives me something, they literally, one neighbor caught me on the door the other day and gave me this big, like a loaf of cheese. I'm like, okay, I'll take it, because we have this expression where I'm from, when somebody gives you something, take it. So I took it not to offend them, right? Because they're coming from a place of generosity. And then my friend today was over at home, and I showed it to him. He's like, "Oh, my roommate's probably gonna love that." Or I was like, "Let him have it. I would never eat it." So this is something to aspire to and start taking steps tomorrow, right? With the one that, again, the one you eat most often, removing it from your life completely. And then once you do that step, you will see that it's a lot more easier to remove the other ones as well. Because this will be a nice validation that you actually can overcome this craving that you get for those things, right? Because it's when in those low moments when you have these cravings, and I'll explain why food is so tricky, because food is the #1 drug in the world, the #1 addiction. And that is so because all human beings who haven't reached a point of emotional maturity and ability to process and deal with their emotions, and especially the natural swing of backward and forward, the pendulum swing of emotions or emotional states, rely on food as their go-to for fixing their emotional state. Food is comforting. Food makes you feel better, right? That's why there are so many people that are overeating or cannot stop eating. They're not eating because they're hungry. They're eating because they're in a low place, and the food is making them feel comfortable. That's what it is, and that's why it's so hard. And that's why if you can remove one of these, your guiltiest pleasure that you get yourself into all the time, you're going to have a lot more strength and ability to remove all the rest little by little, if that's making sense. Now, the next one is sugary beverages, right? All of the sodas, all of the energy drinks, all of the so-called natural juices. Because if you read on it, today I was in Costco shopping for, again, just natural, not natural, but all just non-processed stuff, like a lot of nuts, raw nuts, and vegetables, and that kind of stuff. So with my friend, and there was just this juice that looked interesting. So just from curiosity, I always read the labels. I read the label, and what did I find out? It was supposed to be an acai berry juice, natural juice, organic and all that. When I looked, or when I read the label, there was so much crap in it. There was even soy lecithin or lecithin, however you pronounce it, in it. I was like, why the fuck would you put this crap in this? This is supposed to be healthy, right? And all soy is genetically modified, and it's organic. And all these colors, it had natural colors. Why would you add color? Am I drinking this for the color or for the nutritional values, right? So all of these so-called natural drinks, organic drinks, if they have sugar in it, forget about it. It's garbage. Literally, it's garbage. You don't want to be putting sugar in your body, especially processed sugar. Fruits are fine. Vegetables are fine. Everything natural, everything real is okay. But all of this processed garbage, again, the energy drinks, another disgusting thing. I'm guilty of it. Many years ago, I used to bartend and stay like overnight late from 10 to 6 in the morning. I was a bartender in one of the big casinos in Vegas. And to stay up, I was a young man. I'll drink a lot of espressos, a lot of Red Bulls and all that, and I can feel myself falling asleep, but my heart was pounding. So I was like, wow, this crap is all garbage. I realized it back then and stopped. I even, like, they hook me up with the Red Bulls all the time. My refrigerator is filled of it, and I always give it away, but I never use it. So none of this crap, right? And obviously the next ones are alcohol and toxins. What do I mean by toxins? Coffee or caffeine is a great example. Nicotine. All of these things that are addictive, that are stimulants for the nervous system, are toxins. That's why they're stimulants. And again, if you're numbing out, getting off the alcohol is going to be tough. But every sip of alcohol you have equals to a spoon of sugar. That's literally the equation. So you might as well eat white sugar, right? Refined sugar. It's the same thing. And every drink you have, just so you know, every drink you have, 1 ounce of, let's say, a spirit, or 1 beer, or 1 glass of wine, takes your liver 24 hours to digest and process. So if you are already, for example, dealing with all the other crap, because the liver is the part in our body, the organ in our body that's dealing with detoxifying, cleaning up our body. If you are to give up on these things, you're going to be making your liver a great favor. If you don't, your liver will be literally working overtime every single day. So obviously this is tough. I'm not saying stop alcohol altogether, but if you are having one drink daily, you're an alcoholic. Simple as that. One drink daily makes you an alcoholic. Just a smoker smokes cigarettes, an alcoholic drinks alcohol. It's not the quantity, it's having this habitual behavior. For example, I have one beer maybe once a month. Now, this is something to aspire to, but as long as you can break the habitual consumption of alcohol, you're already in a good place. Alcohol is, again, a disgusting toxin to be bringing into your body because it clogs in your liver and it makes it work over time. And we already live in an environment that's highly filled with toxins. Just the air we breathe, everything. We are exposed to so much toxicity in our normal daily environment. So why would we contribute to our own toxification unless we want to numb out? Now the next one are toxins. Again, coffee, even though it feels great to some, maybe some of you don't like it. To me, like I enjoy it, is a toxin. What do I mean by this? Well, coffee beans, the caffeine itself is toxic. And maybe some of you don't know this, but no bugs actually go and touch the berries, the coffee berries, when they're in the wild. Because that's what it's actually created for. The plant creates the nicotine, the caffeine, to protect itself from bugs. So its seeds, again, because these are seeds, the little berries, they have the coffee seeds inside. They're seeds for its reproduction. So it doesn't want to be eaten and coats them or infuses them with caffeine, which is a toxin, and pushes or scares away all little bugs and creatures that normally would be feasting on it. Same holds true for nicotine. Right? I'm guilty of this as well. I like to smoke a cigar once in a while to sit down and reflect and so on. But if you're smoking cigarettes or something of that sort, I would definitely recommend that you get rid of this nasty, nasty habit. And how you do it? Does anyone smoke from you guys? Can you type in the box? I'm curious. I'm going to tell you actually how to break that habit. Well, that's wonderful. Seems that nobody does. Thumbs up for that. I'm glad that you don't, because I used to smoke long time ago for a long time. And I'm not proud of it. Great to hear that. Great to hear, Almira. Absolutely. Absolutely. Way to go. Keep it up. Here's what it is, though. I'm going to tell you how to make sure that you stay away from it, even if a craving comes along for it. Here's what you do. If you get the craving for a cigarette, next time it does, just ask your friend or whoever, because usually it's once you see someone else smoking that triggers within you this desire to smoke. So if that's the case, ask them to give you a cigarette. Don't light it up. Just hold it in your head or in your hand and play with it between your fingers. Just hold it in your hand and just act like if you are smoking. Don't light it up. Maybe act like you're puffing. Just hold it in your hands. That's truly what it is, because the smoking habit is not about the smoking itself. It's just having something in your hand to play with and put it in your mouth kind of deal. So if you just do this, you will see that you don't even have to light it up. So that's the hack about quitting smoking. you realize that it's not the smoke itself, because your body doesn't enjoy the smell. I can guarantee you this. It's just used to holding something in your head just to have something to do. That's what it is. So if this shows up, try this out. I can guarantee you it's going to work. So now that you know what to stay away from and avoid, let's look at what to actually put into the system. And first and foremost, I want to clear something out. Food is not about calories. Food is all about nutrition, because our bodies, they might seem as a one organism, are a conglomerate of trillions, close to 100 trillions individual cells. All of these cells on a daily basis have a lot of things to do. One of them is to repair themselves, rebuild the whole system, and so on. So what we need food for is the nutrition that gives us the building blocks that the cells can use in order to build a healthy body. Our body, as we see it today, is nothing more but a year ago picture of the stuff we ate. It just, the last 12 months of food we ate is literally what our body is today, because this is what went into making it. These are the building blocks we used. So we have to take full credit first and know that we can change it, right? The body is nothing more but an accumulation of food. And it's the quality of the food or the richness of nutrition in the food that makes the most significant difference. So we want to be eating, and I'll tell you more about it, but first, what are some things to focus on, right? What are the things to actually eat more of and what less of? First and foremost, I want you to start minimizing the consumption of meat. Now, this could be tough for a lot of you, but I'm going to tell you one thing, and once you understand this, it's going to become very important for you to limit your consumption of meat. I don't know what your opinion is. It has nothing to do with veganism or any of those things. It's just what works and what doesn't. Meat takes between 2 and 3 days from entering into your mouth and coming out, from where? During this process, it becomes to rot within your intestine and creates inflammation. So every time you eat meat, you're creating inflammation within. And if you're doing it all the time, then you're going to be creating a lot of inflammation that is going to be ruining your health. Especially if you already, again, are under, let's say, you have some infection from before, or you want your system to be fully functional in protecting itself from any outside bacteria, especially in the times like today, right? With the so-called COVID viruses and so on. You want your immune system to be fully optimal, meaning that you're not creating internal inflammation yourself. So your immune system is in the autoimmune kind of like attacking itself and trying to work things out and leaving the door open, because that's what happened. If you're creating inflammation within you on a regular basis, then the front door stays open for outside things to come into the system. So we don't want to be doing this. We want to minimize meat. I'm not saying don't eat meat. What I'm saying is minimize your consumption of meat. And especially these chicken, all of these pork, beef, all of this crap. Yes, it's tasty. I would admit this. But it's garbage for your system. And I'll explain why. We, human beings, just like our primate cousins, the monkeys, different types of monkeys, chimps and so on, are frugivorous animals. What do I mean by this? Animals that mostly eat fruits, nuts, seeds, and vegetables. Meat became availability or something that we're able to eat once the human beings, our ancient ancestors, they used to be hunter-gatherers, cavemen, whatever you want to call them, figured out how to make fire and then cook the meat. Because how many of you can see yourself chewing on a raw piece of meat? How many of you can see yourself killing an animal, skinning it, and then eating the raw meat? I would imagine not many, right? It's not I haven't seen a single person who eats their meat raw. Right? It's not something tasty. When you think about raw meat, does it make you salivate? So it's fundamentally important to start making some distinctions. Again, it's not about not eating meat, it's minimizing it because it's creating inflammation within the system, it's clogging the system, and it's taking too long to process. Because what's within us, within our gut, the temperature is about 40 degrees Celsius, which is about 110, between 110 and 120 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know if you ever left meat uncovered into the open for 2 days outside on 30 degrees Celsius, but in about a day and a half, it starts to have these maggots and flies and all this kind of stuff, and smells rotty and so on. So this is exactly what's happening within your gut. Now, I don't know if this is something now that you are conscious of, you want to be creating more of, but it's something to be extremely mindful of, especially in times like today when having a strong system is extremely important, so you stay healthy all the time. The next thing I would definitely advise you to stay away are carbs, because they just ruin your mental capacity and turn into sugars and just like crush you, right? Carbs, like what I mean by carbs, all pasta, rice, bread, all these things, anything that is heavy carbs, get rid of it. Get rid of it because it's literally stealing your energy, making you sleepy, and making you unable to focus, and creates a lot of brain fog. Now, again, I'm not saying don't eat it at all. Once in a while, enjoy a pizza, enjoy a nice pasta, but don't make it something that's a daily food for you, or white rice, any of those carb-rich foods, because they just like play a very, very bad trick on your mind and your mental, on your cognitive capacity. If this is something that's important to you, right, to be always on point, to always be sharp, to be able to focus, to have a lot of mental capacity, then carbs, get rid of them. And only enjoy them once in a while when you, let's say, you want to have this guilty pleasure. Again, I'm not saying don't have them. Have them once in a while as a little reward. If you want to have a little chocolate or whatever it is, right? Reward yourself once in a while, but don't, you can expect, and for those of you who've been struggling with this, with mental fog, inability to focus, lack of energy, sleepiness, all these things, drowsiness, this is, if you remove the carbs from your life, especially not having a carb-rich lunch, you're going to be doing yourself a huge, huge favor, because if you do it at night, it's too bad, but you're going to be going to sleep. So it's not going to affect your cognitive function much and your energy level. Because what happens with carbs, every time we eat carbs, doesn't matter what they are, pasta, anything, sugar, and so on, all of a sudden our blood glucose, glycogen spikes up, and then it suddenly crashes. So every time we do it, we're going to have naturally all these spikes and crashes. You get this instantaneous high almost, and then you crash. You just feel lethargic, sleepy, can't focus. You have mind fog or brain fog. So if you are, again, somebody who needs to use your mind, be able to focus and have a higher level of cognition, eating carbs is the worst thing you can do for yourself. Again, if it's at night prior to going to sleep, or you just want to relax and watch a movie or whatever, and you want to treat yourself, go ahead, by all means, have carbs, right? And then obviously there are better options when it comes to carbs, and that's what we're going to talk about next. Let me just reopen my notes here. All right. However, what is the best thing to eat for energy, for sustained energy that actually our brain needs and will actually transfer once we teach our body to use it is fat. Fat is the greatest energy source that we can use. However, not all fats are created equally. And first, we need to teach our body to burn or use fat as fuel rather than storing it. Because we're eating a lot of carbs and so on, our body by default prefers eating or using the sugar, the glycogen, as its energy source rather than the fat. But fat, especially ghee would be the most highest quality fat that you can give, or a rocket fuel for your brain, because maybe many of you are not familiar with this fact, but our brain itself is made out of 80% fat. It's a big ball of fat, and it loves fat. It thrives on fat. Actually, even the leanest bodybuilders, which have about 5% body fat, still maintain this fat because it's called essential fat. Without it, you're literally gonna die. So there is healthy fat and there is bad fat. Best fat, ghee. Number 2, coconut oil or MCT oil. Next, extra virgin organic olive oil. If you start using these fats in your life to supplement your diet, you're going to be doing your brain a significant favor. And trust me, those fats don't build up in the body. It's the crappy fats that build up. All of these processed oils and all that garbage that is filler in all the processed food. Again, if you eliminate processed food from your life, you can be sure that you will be definitely taking your body weight one way or another under control, because it's those hydrogenated oils that are very, very bad. All like the sunseed oils, sunflower oils, the soy derivatives of oils, the palm oil, all this like big offenders that all the processed foods contain. Like avoiding those type of oils. All these types of fat are extremely bad. They're really, really rancid and wreak havoc within the body. But if you eat ghee, for example, look at me. I'm like literally like, I would say skinny, but I'm skinny. I eat a big fat jar of fat every month, like literally every month of ghee, just like eat it like this with the spoon. I love it. My body loves it. And I'm skinny as hell. And this time around, about 2 of them. And I also eat a lot of the coconut oil, and I also eat a lot of the olive oil. So fat is the greatest fuel you can supply your brain with. This is going to allow you to have a very solid and constant cognitive capacity and no crashes, because fat burns even all the time. It doesn't spike, doesn't go up, doesn't go down. It's just an amazing, amazing energy source that is actually necessary, because what creates the membranes of all the cells, all the healthy cells within the body, is actually fat. So by providing the body with a good amount of healthy fat, you're actually providing the cells with what they need to coat themselves effectively. So fat would be the most significant thing, honestly. Once you train your body, because again, if you've been eating a lot of carb-rich food right now, by default, your body is always looking for the sugar, for the glycogen. And it's working out of this. Yes, exactly. Avocado is another good fat. Avocado oil is also great. If you eat avocados, I eat avocados daily. That's another good thing you can do. Since avocado is more of a fruit, because that's exactly what it is. If it has a seed inside, it's a fruit. It's not a vegetable. But that doesn't matter. It's not as concentrated as, again, as a tea or tablespoon of ghee or coconut oil, right? One is a lot more concentrated, where in the avocado, there's definitely good fat. Definitely good fat, and I do recommend eating avocados. Now, the most important thing about food, again, is realizing that food has nothing to do with calories. And actually, it's funny I don't know if you guys know what a calorie actually represents, but it's the amount of work required to raise a certain quantity of water with 1 degree Celsius. Now, that's great if you're a boiler, right? If you're a water heater, that makes sense, right? Let's count calories and focus on calories. But is that what your life is all about? Right? Are you a water heater, or are you a human being? So it's not about the calories, it's the nutrient density within the food we consume that makes the most significant difference. Because again, this spacesuit called the human body is nothing but an accumulation of food. The better nutrients you give your cells, the better structure they can build. It's like if you want to build a house and you want to build an amazing house, or for example, one of these Egyptian pyramids that still standing tall after tens of thousands of years, or one God knows how long ago, or how old they actually are, because there's various theories, but nobody's really sure on the dating. They're still standing. So if you want to build a body that is as solid and timeless as the pyramids, you want to supply yourselves with the necessary nutrients they need in order to be able to build. Think of them as a team of construction workers, right? They need building materials to build. That's what we eat for. We don't eat for energy. We eat for nutrition, to supply the body, all the cells, with the necessary building blocks that they need to repair, rebuild, and renew the whole system. So this is what food is all about. Now, when it comes down to food, again, I'm going to mention this again, and we're going to discuss it a little bit deeper. But fundamentally, the optimal food for the human body is raw vegetables, raw fruits, raw seeds, and raw nuts. And those oils, or all the fats that I just listed, the ghee, the coconut oil, even avocado oil, or eating avocados, the MCT oil, which is a derivative from, or highly more concentrated form of coconut oil, and the olive oil, or the extra virgin organic olive oil. And I do recommend buying things only organic. If it's run-of-the-mill, don't buy it. It has toxins in it. That's why it says it's organic. And it's not necessarily put toxins in it, but the soil, the way it's grown, the way it's produced, and then most likely has preservatives and other carcinogenic chemicals within. So again, you'll be toxifying yourself, and that's the worst thing you can do for yourself. So again, nuts, seeds, fruits, and vegetables. And why is this so? From entering your mouth to its way out, a fruit goes through the whole system for 14 hours. Our system is optimized to work What do I recommend, Jay? What I recommend is fat, oxygen, and hydration, and movement. Because I don't, you say long physical work. I don't know what this is. Are you sitting down for a long time? Are you lifting things? Honestly, I eat once per day. I eat just raw vegetables, nuts, and all the fats. I have one meal per day, and I have plenty of energy. Now, obviously, this is something you build up to. Lifting things. Okay. Well, again, the fat, supplementing yourself with fat, because fat is great. However, here is the thing. If you just eat fat by itself, there's going to be, most likely, it's going to just go through your system and coat your intestine, which is good too. But it's not going to be digested. However, if you have one good meal prior or after, you're going to have a lot more energy. Because here's something I want you all to realize first, which is fundamental. Now, a lot of people have this misconception again that we eat for energy. We don't need for energy. The one thing that provides us energy is oxygen. If we know how to properly breathe, we can have all the energy in the world. And then hydration. That would be the second thing. Those are the two things we want to be looking at for energy. However, there are three processes that are fundamental for our survival that take place in our body, sometimes daily, that are consuming 100% of all the available energy at all times. So if we are able to take control of those processes, then we're not going to be wasting away any energy away. The first process that is the most fundamental is fight or flight, or are we stressed out, anxious, and so on, and in a mild state of fight or flight. Because fight or flight, for those of you who know or don't know, is triggered whenever we are under stress. Our body doesn't know there is no saber-toothed cats or big mammoths that would be running away or so on. So it overreacts, triggers this reaction, which takes away all the vital energies, even from our mind, which actually makes us dumber, significantly dumber than we actually are, because we're geniuses, we all are, but throws away all the vital energies and the bloodstream and the blood flow, and pumps it in all the extremities, meaning the hands and the feet, so you can fight or flight, meaning run. This, because it's such a instantaneous or immediate threat, right? The body perceives an immediate threat in the environment and overreacts in this highly dysfunctional way. Again, if we are running from lions in the savannah, or we're running for our life, that's great. But if you're stuck in your office, or you're working, or you're doing something at home, or whatever, you're stuck in traffic, and you all of a sudden trigger fight or flight, or you're constantly in a mild, habitual state of fight or flight because you're so unaware of it, it's become normal to you. For those of you who lack energy or have a chronic, again, what's the word they use for this? Chronic lack of energy. You are chronically tired. You just feel like you don't have any energy. That might be one of the things. Because here's the thing. If we are under immediate threat, our body's under immediate threat, tomorrow, later on, doesn't matter. The body thinks now I'm going to have to run or fight for my life. So I'm going to give it all the energy. Here you go, because who knows if this is going to be tomorrow or is this going to be later? Nobody knows. The body wants to survive. So that's why we started, or one of the things I mentioned earlier was meditation. Meditation is one of those tools that will allow you to take control of these behaviors and not feel triggered or enter into those states for a long time, because this draws almost all of the vital energy. Now, the second process that is taking place in our body daily, this is digesting food. Food digestion, because it's obviously we need the nutrition for our body to survive, for all the cells to function and rebuild, is a process that once triggered, even if you have one bite of food, lasts 8 hours and draws at least 40% of all the vital energy. Now, this is fine if you eat once per day. But if you have 3 meals per day, you can imagine that throughout your day, 40% of your vital energy is gone just for digesting and processing food. Now, here's a question I have for you to ask yourself. Are you a shit factory? Would you, when you look in the mirror, you see yourself as a shit factory? Because if you eat 3 meals per day and you're always constantly snacking and all that, that's all it is. You're a shit factory, case closed. You're wasting more energy by digesting and eating food than you're actually gaining in the return. The math does not add. If you actually break even, you're doing great. Usually you don't even break even, but it's just a necessary process that needs to take place so we can feed the body the nutrition the cells need. So by limiting your amount of meals, you can regain a lot of energy. And I'm not saying limit the amount of meal in a sense of like how big your meal is. You can combine 2 meals in one, make it a bigger meal, and then have 1 meal that is equal to 2, but you're not doing it twice, so you're wasting away the same type of energy twice, if that's making sense. Because it's going to take the same amount of energy. Just again, even if you take 1 bite, you're going to be wasting the whole process away, 8 to 9 hours just to digest food. Food digestion is one of the heaviest processes that take place on our energy resources. It just draws away a significant amount of energy. The third one, again, these are processes, why I'm listing them, is because these are processes we have control over if we want to. Because there are other processes that we don't have control. And since we don't have control, there's not much we can do. But the third one is for men, especially you, Jay, I'm making an assumption that you're men, is ejaculation. This is the next significant waste away of vital energy. Now, you can enjoy sex, you can have plenty of sex, but don't ejaculate, because this is going to take all of your vital energy away, since it's another process that is fundamental for survival. Every time you do it, it takes your body about 1 week to recover all of the vital fluid. And it's going to be taking away not just energy today, but tomorrow and the next day, and so on and so on. So if this is something you can be mindful of and start controlling yourself with, you're going to make a significant or gain back a significant amount of energy. Just by taking control of over these 3 processes, again, fight or flight, not eating often, or food digestion, and ejaculation, you've gained a significant amount of vital energy back into your life. It's how we use the energy, right? How we choose to distribute, or what is the energy channeled into, that will make the biggest difference. Now, when it comes down to food, I will explain something. Since, again, food digestion is such an energy-heavy process. We want to make sure that not only do we minimize the energy it takes our body to digest the food, but we also want to maximize the amount of nutrition the body will take from the meal, because if there is no nutrition in the food, you're literally wasting your time away and all your energy. You're killing yourself for no good reason. Besides, maybe, again, if this food is making you feel good from the perspective of making yourself more comfortable, managing your emotional state. But if that's not the case, it's fundamentally important to, little by little, and I do mean little by little because this is a process, it's not a race, is to transition into eating raw food. And I don't mean raw meat, but raw vegetables, raw fruits. Obviously, most of the fruits, you eat them raw. Nuts, seeds, and so on. Why am I saying this? Here's the thing. Each and every single one of the fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds you eat already have within them, actually with the seeds and the nuts, it's good to soak them overnight with water and then to get the water out and eat them soaked or sprouted, because they're already much softer and easier to digest. So you'll be helping your body to digest it quicker. So this is a little hack you can do with the nuts if you want to eat nuts. I eat plenty of nuts all the time. I just love them. It's a great way to supplement your diet with natural proteins. I mean, with non-animal proteins and so on. So here's the thing. You want to be eating vegetables, fruits, and all these things raw because they naturally contain within them enzymes. Those enzymes help the gut bacteria in your body to digest food easier and to absorb all of the nutrients within it. Because here is the thing. Every time we cook something, and don't get me wrong, I love cooking. I'm an amazing chef and I make amazing things. But every time you cook, every time you expose any food, again, raw vegetable, fruit, nut, whatever it is, to heat, first, at least 50% of the nutrition is lost directly just from this thermal process. Second, all of the enzymes, they die as well. So it becomes, not only you lose half of the nutrition in the food, but your body now has to struggle to digest it and absorb the nutrients. And probably at best, you're going to be looking at absorption of, at best, 30% of all the nutrition in the food, which is a waste of time. Like literally, you just 2/3 of the food you ate wasted away. What's the point? By eating raw, you will be able to absorb all of the nutrition. And when I mean raw, I don't mean just any food. But let's go get specific on this. And again, you can lightly cook things. For first, if you want to start with like eating raw vegetables and those type of things is tough or seems tough for you to get your butts used to, or maybe because of your teeth or whatever, you don't want to chew on raw things, you can steam them, right? Lightly steam them and eat them like that. Or boil them, make them like almost like a vegetable soup, and then eat the vegetables and drink the water or the soup itself, because the broth will contain a lot of this nutrition. Again, because we eat just for the nutrition. We don't eat for anything else. That's the main purpose of eating. It's not for energy. Obviously, as I mentioned already, a lot of people regulate, if not all, their emotional state through food. That's why they like to eat all the time and snack and so on and so on, but that's not the point. If we want to build a healthy body temple, we want to supply it with the materials necessary for the cells to build it, right? We cannot expect to build a pyramid if we don't bring the stones. If you're just bringing a pile of firewood or something like this, well, we're not going to be building a pyramid. If anything, we'll be building a hut, right? So we don't want to be caught up in this destructive process. Now, the next thing is obviously is to supplement ourselves depending on what part of the world you are, what access to good nutrition you have, and so on, with micronutrients, supplements, vitamins, minerals. The other one that I wanted to, probiotics and collagen. All of these micronutrients that, let's say, we might be lacking, because again, it's all about the nutritional value and having a well, in a sense, nutrified body, if you want to put it. Have enough nutrition there, because there's all these fundamental, essential nutrients that our body needs. And micronutrients, for example, there's a lot of different micronutrients that we don't need much of, but we need some. And if you eat a very diverse diet of lots of different fruits and vegetables and so on that supply you this is a way to be, or a place to be. But I definitely recommend buying high quality vitamins or micronutrients, like some little tablets that are based on the highest quality you can find, because if you don't find high quality, don't buy it. The cheap ones are garbage. Most of them, you just piss them away. They're a waste of money at best. The body does not have the ability to digest them and absorb them. They're literally pissed away. So buy high quality micronutrients. A great way to get some of them actually is to use light gray Celtic sea salt. And that's something I recommend for you, for your salt at home, to replace all the salt you use with light gray Celtic sea salt. This is the highest quality salt you can buy, and it contains a lot of those micronutrients already in it. It's fundamental to have it. It's only one. It comes in a blue package. It's what was it? I think it's actually called Light Celtic Sea Salt. I think that's the brand. It's a bluish looking. Look it up on Amazon. You'll find it right away. Let me actually look it up real quick for you guys. But I think that's what it was. So let me see. Yeah, Celtic Sea Salt. I think that's the brand, or it's a bluish package, has like a mint on it. Buy it, use it all the time. No questions asked. Now, again, my vitamins, buying high quality, good quality vitamins and using them daily is a great thing too, just to supplement yourself, to make sure that you're not running low on any vital ingredients or nutrients for the body, because there's a lot of them. And the problem with the food nowadays is that the soil, right? Because here's how it works. Vegetables, fruits, seed, nuts, right? They do not have nutrition within them. What happens is the nutrition is drawn through the roots of the tree or the plant they grow on within the fruit, the nut, the seed, the vegetable. So if the soil something is grown into does not already contain these essential nutrients, the food's not going to contain them either. And most of the soil on this planet, whether you know it or not, has been destroyed. And it's so fucked up, it's not even funny, because, one of these fucked up companies out there called Monsanto that creates all these genetically modified strains of food and pesticides and so on. They've been just spraying all around the globe and killing soil and killing everything, killing the let's put it this way, the healthy microbiome of the soil itself, because there are microorganisms that live within it that make it healthy. And if the soil is lacking the ingredients, the food's not going to contain much of them. So that's why having those micronutrients elements and vitamins and so on is fundamental just to supplement, so you make sure that you're not lacking something. And we're actually next point we're gonna talk about is how you find out if you lack something, right? Because that's a good starting point too. You need to know where you're at. The next one I would definitely recommend is taking probiotics. There are different probiotics that are very good for your gut, right? Probiotics are just healthy bacteria for your gut, because this is what actually our gut has about billions of different bacteria that live in them. They can be good and they can be bad. And sometimes if you have literally bad bacteria in your gut, this can mess up your emotions, you can mess up your thinking, it can mess up everything. So investing in a good set, or they come in different forms. What I personally like to take is Bulgarian yogurt and Greek yogurt. I'm originally from Bulgaria. Bulgarian yogurt has very, very specific bacteria that lives in it that is very good for your gut. That is a probiotic. Another one is organic apple cider vinegar. Just using it either for your vegetables to eat it with, or just like having tiny little bit, diluting it in a glass of water and just drinking it. This is also because it has the little bacteria within. You will see it on the bottom. It has the sediment. That is the actual culture, the bacterial culture within it. So taking probiotics. The next one is collagen. It comes in pills, or you can find it now in protein forms, like pure collagen protein. Why is this important? Well, here's the thing. In our mid-20s, our bodies naturally begin to decrease their natural production of collagen. Don't ask me why, I have no idea. My philosophy is that we are not meant to live long lives. That's why. Because it's fundamental. Collagen is fundamental for all of the soft tissue within the body, all the joints, or the cartilage, all of the joints, all of the cartilage, all of the skin, all of these moving parts where there's a lot of friction happening. It's collagen. It's collagen that is the building blocks, even nails, skin, hair, all these things. So supplementing with collagen is something that you should do every 3 months. I won't say myself an athlete, but I'm a highly athletic person. I've been exercising, training, doing all kinds of things since since I was 14, 15 years old. And now prior to this, I was still very active, but been always active. And many years ago, without even noting, right, I wasn't curious about these things. I wasn't in the field of personal development yet. I used to have a lot of pain in my knees. And again, I was in my 20s, and I told my friend, and he knew about, actually, he was more informed than me about it. And he was like, dude, like, are you taking collagen? I'm like, collagen? What are you talking about, man? And he's like, well, take it because that's what it is. I started taking it, and all of a sudden, again, you have to replenish. So you don't expect to see results 2 days after. If you do, great, but most likely it's not going to be something immediate. You first need to replenish your body's supply. So I would say 2 to 3 months, every 2 to 3 months, you do a prophylactic just refill on collagen, either pills or, again, buying it as a protein, because this will allow you to maintain all your joints, all your cartilages, all your ligaments, all these soft tissues within your body, flexible, strong, and so on, and avoid having these pains and so on in all of the joints, right? This is fundamental. And also, it's going to help you to have better skin, better hair, better nails, everything. So it is something great, because the only thing that we can supplement it through, unless we take it through this, is bone broth. I don't know how, I don't also recommend bone broth, but it's a lot more ineffective way to go about it, because there's nothing else that has it. You have to eat bones, or again, make bone broth. That's why, for example, dogs eat bones. They don't eat the bones because they like the bone itself. They're eating the bone marrow with it. That's why they're eating it. They're not stupid. Now, as I mentioned, using all the micronutrients, all the vitamins, all these things is essential to supply the body with enough nutrition. But the best thing you can do just to kind of have a measurement of where you're at today is to go and get a full blood panel from your, how you said, physician, medical physician. Go to your personal doctor and ask them to get you a full blood panel. And what do I mean by this? All of the nutrients, all of the hormones, everything, even your, again, hormonal levels, testosterone, estrogen, all these levels, every single thing. And then sit down with them, because it's really hard to make sense of it. And if he doesn't understand, then go online and figure out what these things mean. They should give you rates between what is low, what is high, right? So you have a good idea of where you stand. So you can see what your body has and what it doesn't. So you can supplement it with the things it needs. That's the best thing to do, to set yourself for success from the get-go. Because we cannot improve this that we don't measure. We need to measure things and have a clear idea of where do we stand. So taking a full blood panel would be significant. Do this early in the morning. When you're going to do it early in the morning without having any food or anything like this. Just go to your doctor as early in the morning as possible, because that's when all your blood and everything is most clear. And again, not eating anything, not drinking coffee, nothing. Just go empty stomach to your doctor, get the blood panel done, because obviously they're going to draw out some blood. But it's good to have it as pure and concentrated as possible, because as the day progresses, your hormonal balance starts to change and so on. So you want to go early in the morning. And especially for men, it's important because in the morning is when your testosterone level peaks. So just so you have a more clarity, because this is a great way to measure where you stand with health. Now, the next step is simple, but not many people do it. Is staying well hydrated, drinking enough water every single day. This is fundamental. You need to understand that the human body is made out of, or contains, or it's up to 80% water. The content of our body is 4/5 of it as water. So you need to stay well hydrated. How do you know if you're well hydrated, right? The first thing I want you to realize is that whenever you eat, you feel hungry. Most likely you're not hungry, you're thirsty. So first, before you decide to eat, have an 8-ounce glass of water. Drink a glass of water, wait a little bit, and then see. If you're not satiated, then eat. But because our ancestors used to gain a lot of their water through the fruits and vegetables they ate. You can imagine if they lived in a wild environment. Who knows when was the river, or if there was a little spring or a place where they can drink water. It wasn't like, oh, you go and you have your tap water, you have a bottle of water or anything like this, right? You have to understand the environment they lived. So most of the water that they would drink, they will not necessarily drink, but they will consume it through all of the vegetables and fruits they ate. Because as you know, a lot of the fruits and vegetables content is water as well. So that's why sometimes when we're hungry, it's actually we're not hungry, we are dehydrated. And how do you know if you're dehydrated? You take a piss and you look at the color of your piss. You want your piss, the urine color, to be pale yellow, almost white, meaning like almost clear. The more yellow it becomes, the more dehydrated you are. The more dehydrated you are, the less energy and focus you're going to have. Water is fundamental. Staying well hydrated is number one. So somebody was asking me earlier, Jay, you were asking me how to have more energy. Stay well hydrated. fundamental throughout the day. It's also what I do as well. Depending on what I'm doing, I like to add a little bit of the salt. I told you, the Celtic salt, a little bit, like a 1/4 of a teaspoon within my bottle, and let it dissolve, because it dissolves pretty easy, and then drink it like this. Because here's the thing, we need salt in our water because salt provides minerals which are necessary for the cells to be able to communicate properly with each other. Without those so-called electrolytes, the cells cannot clearly communicate with each other. And again, our body is an enormous symphony of cells. When those cells cannot communicate clearly with each other, nobody knows what to play, what instrument to play. It's a big confusion. So add some salt in your water, especially if you're going through not eating much throughout the day, or you're going out to, let's say, for a run or for a long endurance kind of exercise, bicycling or something of the sort. Definitely add some salt in the water to keep the electrolytes in your system, because with the sweat, a lot of those electrolytes are taken out of the body. So we want to stay well hydrated and electrified in a way. Here's a little hack that's going to help you to speed up your digestion or help your body digest food easier. Prior to your meal, have a cup of warm water. This will help your body to digest food quicker. So have a cup of hot water, plus also it's going to help you to manage better the portion of food you eat, because your belly is not going to be empty anymore. And as I mentioned, sometimes and most of the times we're not hungry, we're just thirsty. So have a cup of hot water prior to eating. This will speed up your digestion, will help you a lot. Now the next step we're going to address is my favorite thing. Let me just turn on my lights here so I make it easier for you guys to see me. It's starting to get dark in my side of the world. Oh, there we go. There we go. All right, focus on me. I'm right here. So the next point we're going to talk about is fasting. Now, I don't know how many of you fast, have fasted, or are curious about fasting, but fasting is one of the most powerful things you can do, and one of the healthiest things you can do for your body. There are various types of fasts one can practice. For example, a long time ago, when I first started, I used to do intermittent fasting, which means that I have a window during which I can eat whatever I want, and then for the next 16 hours, I won't eat anything, and I don't eat anything or drink anything with calories. So no calories for 16 hours. My window was more of, I would say, probably 6 hours than 16. But that's how I started. You have a window during which you eat. And then for 16 hours, you allow your body to rest. Because again, why is this fundamental is that every time your body has free vital energy that is not being consumed in digesting food and so on, the cells can start to repair themselves and to do maintenance work on the body rather than, again, digesting food. Again, I would imagine not many of you, after this conversation, will look in the mirror again and think of yourself as a shit factory, right? Because this is a fundamental thing to realize. We're not here to eat and shit. We're here to thrive. And in order for you to thrive, you need the energy to do it, not to waste it away to process food. There's a lot of entities out there that have no agenda for you to know this, right? There's a lot of entities that if it was possible, they'll turn you or turn us into one of these chickens in those farms that sit all day and just are fed 24/7 steroids or whatever garbage they feed them in order to make them fluff and ready to roast in like a month. For them, this will be ideal. That's why nobody's really talking about this out there, right? Have 3 meals per day and all that nonsense. Think about it for a second. Do you think that our ancestors who had to hunt and gather for their food through the wild jungle, savannah, wherever they were, had 3 meals per day? They were lucky if they even ate once per day. The human body is not designed to have 3 meals per day. Case closed. Our bodies are designed to do a lot more other things, not to eat all of the time. Again, the biggest driver for you eating too much or eating often is controlling your emotional state to feel comfortable. That's why it's so tough to take over this destructive habit, because it's a destructive habit. It is an addiction. It is a habit. However, what you can do to improve your health significantly and allow your body to have a lot more free energy for work, for thinking, for exercising, for focusing on something else in your life that you care about, is to start doing at least intermittent fasting. This will be the place to start, right? Now, from intermittent fasting, we transition into OMAD, or 1 meal per day. I've been personally on an OMAD, 1 meal per day, 1 meal every 24 hours for at least 2 years at this point, if not more. I don't remember anymore. And it works perfectly well for me. I have plenty of energy throughout the day. I exercise. I do plenty of things. I host these webinars for 3 hours. I write a book. I have coaching calls. I have all this work, and I'm always on point. My mind is so sharp and so clear. I can go until tomorrow morning. I'll be still sharp and clear and have energy. It's as simple as that, because I'm not wasting away my energy to digest food. I'm using my energy for most important things. And by doing so, I also allow my cells to repair themselves, to my body to repair, because in all honesty, you need more in the range of at least 18 to 20 hours for this process called autophagy, which the cells go through, where they recycle themselves and repair and renew and in a way refresh themselves or become younger. Once the body has been empty of food and has this spare energy to put into this process, which normally takes a minimum of 18 hours. So that's why having an OMAD, right, or intermittent fasting into your life is going to be extremely powerful, and especially shrinking down the window maybe to 6 or 4 hours, which will allow you to, let's say, have a breakfast and then have a late lunch and early dinner, right? And as long as you can fit your meals in the period, feel free to have, if you want, to 7 meals. Again, I don't recommend the less food you eat, the better it is, because I'll explain something very important here. I would imagine all of you drive a car and you have a basic understanding of how the revs on the engine are, right? So think of it this way. Every time you eat, you trigger the process of digestion, which takes 8 to 9 hours. The moment you do, your engine goes into the red line and stays there for 8 hours. Well, once you have another meal, this process starts again for another 8 hours. And then you have another meal, and then you go to sleep. So the body still stays in this process even while you sleep. So there is no rest time for your body whatsoever. And you're always in the red line. How long do you think you can keep your engine in the red line before it starts to wear and tear prematurely? Think about it. So transitioning to this is something amazing you can do. Again, I'm not saying it's easy. but it's highly effective and it's just going to change your life. You're going to have so much energy. And I do mean so much energy. You'll be regaining back so much energy, so much clarity, and so much lightness and time into your life, because how long does it take you to have a meal? Plus, if you're eating less, you can invest in higher quality food, right? Because this fundamental, again, we eat for nutrition, not for the sake of eating. It's not how much we eat, it's what we eat, the quality of the food we consume, the nutritional density is what we're looking at. So we want to be very cautious of this and conscious of this. Now, once we want to actually fast, there are different types of fast. Depending on where you're at, how toxified you are, and so on, I would definitely recommend, if you've never done a prolonged water fast, is to try it out. It's going to help you to detox your body like you've never done before. Now, this is something you build up into gradually. If you've never done it, if you've never done OMAD, intermittent fasting, I definitely recommend doing it gradually. But if you are determined to detox your body from whatever crop is in it from before, because I can guarantee you there's plenty of it if you've never done fasting to detox, what you want to do is start one day. Go through one day just drinking water and the salt. You want to add the salt because you want to have the electrolytes in the water. That's the one thing that's requirement. Just water, nothing else. Maybe you can have herbal tea with no sugar, no nothing, or black coffee. But anything, you're only allowed to have things with no calories. And I don't mean these like fake drinks with the sweeteners and all that. But I do recommend just going on water because, again, caffeine is a toxin. And teas have some also specific toxins in them. So I would not recommend it. Just pure water. Go one day, see how you feel first. If things feel well, continue for another day, because here's the key. You want to be doing this for a minimum of 3 days. I know this is a challenge, but if you break through this challenge, you have broken through your habit for food or your desire and need for food. You can start living from a different place. You can start living as a spiritual being that relies on energy, cosmic energy, rather than food for sustenance. Because the only thing that's tying you to food is your habitual desire to have food. Nothing else. You don't need the energy from the food. All you need is the nutrition. Again, this is a step-by-step process. You don't want to go all the way in and all of a sudden realize that maybe there's something wrong going on with you. Because it's normal to fast. It just, if your body's been trained not to, it's going to be, who knows how it's going to react. That's why we want to do it gradually. Do it a day. If you feel good, if you feel clear, even though, again, the hunger will come. And here's the hack. Here's actually how you overcome it. What's going to happen is that you're not going to be hungry, but you'll be thinking about food. Thinking about food is the worst thing you can do, because the moment you do, you become hungry. So whenever, if you commit to fast and you want to really go through the process for at least 3 days, because day 2, after 48 hours is when this craving's going to start in, the thought's going to start in, and you're going to start to have a very, a slight, maybe even strong migraine. And I'll explain why. But once those thoughts come in, start thinking about something, meaning that don't have idle time to just sit around and think. Always be busy with something, because when you have idle time, your mind will default to thinking about food. I can guarantee you this, like literally. Now you see how much energy I have. The last time I ate was yesterday around this time. So I've been already on 24 hours doing plenty of things with no single gram of food. All I had is a cup of black coffee and water. That's it. And you still see how much energy I have, and I can still go on like this for hours. Point being is that once you optimize your body to work in this way, it's an amazing fucking place to be from. You become literally an energy machine. No exhaustion. So whenever those thoughts for food come in, automatically find something else to do, to think about, because your mind will convince you why you should eat again. Don't listen to it. Your mind gets high on all the chemicals and all the ingredients in the food. The one thing that wants the food is your mind. Again, as I said, the mind is this big ball of fat. And the one thing that craves most is fat or sugar, because it gets high. It craves sugar because in our natural evolution, sugar was something very rare to get your hands on. That's why whenever it gets into this high, right? And you cannot even stop eating it. And that's why they put it into everything. All the processed food is loaded with sugar, not because it's good for you, not because it's important, but because it's cheap. First, it's cheap to fill up the food with it. So they kind of like, they screw you up on actually what they sell you. And number two, you cannot control your satiation. So you eat more and more and more and more. You cannot stop eating. That's why they put it like the corn syrup and all that garbage in everything. That's why, again, removing processed food from your life is a fundamental step that you can take. The sooner, the better. Now, coming back to the fasting, here's something I want you to realize. If you really commit to this, to detox your body and get into a setting, experience something you probably never experienced before, because there's something very interesting that happens the first time, is you're going to have on day 2, maybe even earlier, or after 24 hours, you're going to start to feel a slight, if not strong, migraine. This is actually a good sign. Even though it might not feel pleasant, don't stress out, don't take aspirins, don't take anything. Just sit with it. What it's doing is actually showing you that your body is starting to detox. It's burning through all the garbage that's in your bloodstream, that's in your body. That's why you're actually going through the fast, to detox. So feeling this or experiencing this migraine is actually a sign that you actually, or your body is starting to burn and get rid of all the scrap. And the stronger and the longer your migraine is, the more shit there is to get rid of. It's just that. And you should be happy about it and sustain it for as long as you feel well. Because that's what it is. It's a gradual process. You don't do it like, the most I've done it is 7 days, even when I'm skinny. Not to lose weight, to detox. That was long ago. Now I do it mostly up to 3 days at the end of every month, just to clean up my system, even though pretty much I eat just once every 24 hours, right? I'm very selective of what I choose to put in. If it's not premium fuel, thank you, but not interested. You're doing a lot more damage by putting the wrong things than by putting the right things. So you want to first eliminate all the crap. And obviously the toxification, because all of these chemicals, heavy metals, and so on, they build up. They definitely build up. Now, I forgot to mention this. I just want to add this to the micro elements or supplements part. Here are 3 supplements or micronutrients or minerals I want you to be specifically focused on and supplement yourself on with the highest quality that you can find. Vitamin C, magnesium, and zinc. These are fundamental. If you don't have enough of it in your body, you're fucked. Like literally you're fucked. Especially if you have cramps, your muscles cramp, you feel like you have like pain in muscles and so on. It's a very good sign that you're very low on magnesium. Very good sign. And you cannot overdose, because the worst that can happen is you're going to have a diarrhea. So feel free to knock yourself out, especially again if you're experiencing any muscle spasms and cramps and so on. Another important point is to take a lot of vitamin C, especially nowadays with all of this viruses going on and so on. Vitamin C is the one thing that's going to keep your immune system fully functional at its best. And there are a lot of ways or different types of vitamin C, but I do recommend finding the best quality. And obviously, best quality is eat a lot of fruits that are rich in it, because it will be the most natural derivative of vitamin C. For example, oranges, everything citrus, lemons, and so on, right? So vitamin C is an extremely important nutrient to add. Another form of fasting that you can do that's much lighter or easier is juicing, right? Especially if you want to transition into eating raw foods. That's an easy way to get into it, just by juicing for a while, getting on a juice cleanse. But I would definitely recommend combining it with some just pure water fasting initially, just to clean up, to get rid of all the toxins, because there's so many toxins. One thing I want you to be mindful of and avoid is dry fasting. I do not recommend dry fasting. I never experimented with it, and it's not something to be playing around with. So I definitely do not recommend dry fasting, meaning not eating anything, not drinking anything. If you're gonna fast on water, not dry fasting. Stay well hydrated. It's fundamental. Now this wraps up the part on nutrition. Again, 80% of great health is just what you put in and what you don't put in. Focusing just on nutrition will have a significant impact on your overall health. Moving from here on, we transition into exercise, or how we actually use our body, because this is important too. Unless we use something, it atrophies and falls apart. So we actually need to be actively using this body. That's what it's made for. It's not made to sit around. It's not made to be in a chair. It's not made to sleeping and so on and so on. It's made to be used. You either use it or you lose it. Simple as that. So when we talk about exercise, the simplest thing that you can do on a daily basis is to take a short walk, 15 to 20 minutes, to move around, to stand up and move around. This is fundamental. You don't have to be an athlete. You don't have to be going in the gym, but at least go take a walk for 20 minutes, especially in nature. If there is nature nearby, this is great. Go and walk in nature. This is wonderful. And something you can actually do to even enhance it is to, if there is green grass, take off your shoes, take off your socks, and step with your bare feet in the ground so you can ground or earth yourself. This is fundamental because our bodies build up a lot of static electricity that is extremely, extremely dangerous, because it's not allowing our body to get rid of inflammation. Actually, grounding is one of the most powerful ways to get rid of inflammation within the body, or to limit the chances of any inflammation taking place. I, for example, sit on a grounding pad underneath my feet right now the whole time, because maybe I don't have a time to go and walk in the park today. There's a park nearby and I love to do it, but when I don't, at least I'm grounded all the time. So this is something to be mindful of. Go take a walk, ground yourself for a few moments, enjoy the nature. It's going to be calming on your nervous system, on your psychology, and everything, and grabbing some fresh air. Now, outside of this, the first thing we want to focus on, we're thinking about longevity and flexibility and utility of the body, right? Because if our body is stiff and not moving, there's not much we're going to be able to do with it. So the first thing we want to be focusing on, if we're going to be doing any type of exercise, this is dynamic stretching. meaning every single day we stretch ourselves dynamically, meaning we use movements that allow us to recreate natural motion that our hands, body, and so on will be taking there. Go online, there's plenty of them that you're going to be finding, whole routines of dynamic stretching. And I do like underline the word dynamic because there's different types of stretching. But dynamic stretching is fundamental. Now, if you guys are doing yoga or something of the sort, that's another type in the sense of dynamic stretching that allows you to fully move your body because you either use it or you lose it. So it's up to you to decide. However, mobility and flexibility is fundamental because the older we get, the stiffer our joints tend to become. And unless you want to be extremely stiff and barely move once you start to age, you want to be focused on flexibility as much as possible every single day. That way, even if you don't get to exercise or whatever, at least you moved your body enough to lubricate all of your joints and so on, and to get whatever is necessary to get them moving and stay flexible. That is fundamental. So you can maintain that flexibility rather than lose it over time, because that's what's going to happen. Again, you can do yoga. That's one way. If you already have yoga, that's great. If you don't, go online and look up dynamic stretching. There's whole sequences that you can practice that fully get you to move your entire body. You don't need weights. You don't need anything. You can just do it at home. You don't have to even go anywhere. Another couple great ones, maybe you guys are familiar, maybe it's something new that I will introduce you to, is Qigong or Falun Dafa or Falun Gong. These are Chinese spiritual, energetic, and exercises that are very, very fluid, and it's all about, again, moving all the body and just, in a way, stretching dynamically the entire body and driving energy through the body. This is something that you can get into that I highly recommend. Is also an amazing way to stay daily or keep your body flexible in a very simple, fun way. So these are two other methods you can use. Now, the next type of stretching is static stretching. And we're going to talk about this once we talk about exercise, because static stretching is great, but only if you want to recover, or it's only used for recovery, not for prior to exercise, because it's gonna screw up our muscles. And I'll explain why later. Now, next thing obviously we can do is exercise. Depending on what your needs are, aspirations, and so on, there's different exercises you can do. The simplest ones, if you want to do anything really, is to go take a walk. Again, I personally do not recommend running. I cannot recommend running because it messes up all of your knees and hips and joints and so on. Because I don't know how many of you have run or know what running track looks like and what it's made out of, but there's a layer on top that is spongy and soft that absorbs all of the pressure or all of the force that the runners stride with. So when they run, there is no stress on their joints. Because if you're running on the pavement or on the sand or anywhere else, you are messing up your entire body. And I do mean it. You're messing up all of your knees and joints and so on. And if you're young right now, big deal. You're not going to feel it. But once you're 50 and 60, you're going to regret it significantly. So I cannot recommend running at all. However, there's a difference. There is a slight distinction I want to make. But first, let's talk about exercising. there are many different types of exercise, right? There's a whole spectrum of exercise. The most popular types of exercise, when people talk about exercise, training, working out, is resistance training, or using weight to train our body, right? And the most effective, simple, and healthiest form of resistance training will be calisthenics. What do I mean by this? Using your own body weight to exercise, like doing push-ups, pull-ups, burpees, high knee kicks, all kinds of just movements that use your body weight. Or if this is too much for beginners, depending on where you're at, you can buy yourself a set of resistance rubber bands and use them for that. So you can kind of exercise almost the same way that you would be exercising with dumbbells or free weights. But it's much cheaper, it's easier, you can do it at home, and it's something you can start with or help yourself to get to the point where you can do pull-ups, you can do push-ups, and dips in all kinds of different ways. So calisthenics to me is the best, because if you don't need, unless you are a heavyweight lifter or you like some person that works and relies on heavy labor to lift heavy things, there is no point for you to lift more than your own body weight. What for? Right? That's why we have machines and robots and cranes and all those type of things nowadays. We don't, not because we need to do it ourselves, right? So using our own body weight, go ahead online if you're interested. Look up calisthenics. There are various types of jumping jacks is another one, of calisthenic exercises you can do. So you don't have to go in the gym. Obviously, going in the gym is an option too. It's just more expensive. You have to drive there, and nowadays the gyms are not open either. So, or maybe in your state they are. Here in California, they're not. So maybe that's not an option, plus you don't have to go that option. Again, you can also buy yourself a set of small dumbbells and use them at home as free weights. But calisthenics, for me, is the most functional way to exercise using resistance training. Now, what makes it even more amazing, or what 10x is the results of resistance training, is what's known as super slow. If you want to 10x the effectivity of your resistance training, regardless what it is, you want to do it super slow in both directions. And let's say if I was doing push-ups, I'll be pushing myself as slow as I possibly can. And then when I release myself down, I'll be doing it as slow as I possibly can. And throughout the period, I'll be just feeling that burn, because it's not the quantity, it's the quality. This type of exercise allows you to pump up your muscle to the maximum. And the key is to do it, again, it's not about the amount of repetitions that you're going to do, it's how intense you're going to do them, because this is really allows you to make them as intense as possible. And then do it until muscle failure, meaning that you do it until you cannot go any longer. You literally not give up, but you just muscles give up. So that's the key. You do it super slow, and you do it until your muscles give up. Now, maybe this is something you're interested in, maybe not, but this is the most effective way to exercise if you want to do in resistance training. Now, there's different types of exercises, right? We can do endurance training, meaning like long runs. Again, I do not recommend running. Maybe that's something you want to do. I cannot recommend it, because I know the damage it causes on the body. However, you can buy yourself a bicycle and go for a long bicycle ride, because bicycle doesn't put any strain on your joints. It's pretty easy in a sense of there is not a lot of wear and tear, because when we are concerned with these longer endurance exercises, we want to be thinking wear and tear, because there's cost to everything we do. It's not like yeah, we can go and run for days and not expect anything to happen to us, right? The other one that's great is swimming. Swimming, because of the nature of water, because we float and there is not enough, the gravitational force is kind of limited, right? There's not pressure on the spine, the body's relaxed. So swimming in the pool or maybe in the ocean or I don't know, someplace, swimming is a great exercise too, especially for the upper body, the whole body in general. So swimming, cycling, these two things I definitely recommend for endurance-wise, for doing it for a long period of time. Now, what is fundamental here is to understand that as we go throughout our day, depending on, again, how often we meditate, how well we are emotionally and so on, and how stressed we are, our body builds up stress toxicity, meaning the hormones of stress, adrenaline and cortisol. And the thing is that they just build up. The body does not have any way to process them and remove them. So they keep building up to the point where eventually, you either go nuts, you have one of these panic attacks or whatever it is, however it manifests itself, or you just, again, are chronically lack energy, your mood is down and so on. What happens is you've been literally toxified with the hormones of stress. And the only thing that actually allows us to get rid of them is high intensity exercise. And what do I mean by this? And that's the only actually form of exercise that I recommend you running. The other form is shadow fighting, or going in a boxing place or buying a punching bag and punching the shit out of it if it's like your life depending on it, right? The other form is, again, running, but not necessarily just running, sprinting for your life. Because what's happening by doing this, we are recreating or emulating fight or flight response. Fight or flight response that I talked about earlier is fundamental for our survival. And it's how the body processes all this toxicity from stress, or the toxic hormones that build up through daily stress. So by emulating this process, we allow the body to build all of this crap out, and also we build up explosive energy. So whenever we just want to have explosive energy, we have it on demand. So the simplest thing, again, is to sprint. And this is how it works. Let's say you go out, you just warm up, you run for 1 or 2 minutes in very moderate pace just to warm up your body. And then as soon as you feel your body is warm, you sprint, you dash as fast as you can, like literally if life depending on you running for your life, for 30 seconds, as fast as you can. Then normalizing for 30 seconds. And then for another 30 seconds, you dash as fast as you can. Then normalize for 30 seconds, and then dash again for 30 seconds. Do this for a total of 5 minutes. 30 seconds, normal pace, 30 seconds, sprint. Each period, or each one of those for five times total. 5 times slow, 5 times extra fast. Or again, like running for your life. This is the simplest way to allow your body to process and detox all of this stress toxicity that builds up. The other way would be, again, shadow fighting. That's what I do. I like to shadow fight. But maybe this is not something you do. I used to spar back in the day, do a lot of kickboxing, so this is something I do. And that's also an amazing thing to do. Or if you have a chance, you happen to have one, or buy a punching bag a couple of gloves, and punch the shit out of it if you are fighting for your life again, right? Because through it, we emulate fight or flight. And this allows the body to burn out all of this toxicity, because we don't want to allow it to build up and build up and build up, because the result's not going to be great. We want to be conscious of this. And again, whenever if you choose to do shadow fighting or punching bags, you want to be, again, modulating or oscillating between doing it with moderate pace to going extremely intense, like your life depends on it. Because if it's not intense, it's a waste of time. Don't do it. It's no point. It's not going to work the same way. We come out to one of the most fundamental points. The three main energy systems in the body. How do they work? What do they do? Well, the first most fundamental thing we all need for energy is oxygen. So if you learn how to properly breathe, you're going to have plenty of energy. I cannot understate or highlight this or exaggerate this anymore. How you breathe is everything. Look at my face. What is the most prominent and central thing on it? My nose. Do you think that it's there for no good reason? It's kind of random. Maybe it could have been under my mouth, right? I could have had my mouth here and then my nose there, or maybe here. No, it's there because it has central importance to everything. Through our breathing, we bring energy into the body and supply the cells with energy. So through proper breathing and oxygenation, we can create a lot more energy than anything else we can do. Anything else. What do I mean by proper breathing? All of you, as right now it seems are women. Maybe you had kids, maybe not. Maybe you've seen babies, but have you seen how babies breathe? Or when they sleep, have you observed them? Their bellies move. Their chests don't move at all. It's only through their bellies that they do their breathing. This is what I mean by proper breathing. 2/3 of the lungs capacity and alveoli with a little kind of hairy things in a way to express it's not hair, but organelles, tiny little organelles that are in the lungs that actually absorb the oxygen from the air we breathe is here in the diaphragm. So one inhale and exhale here equals to 2 up here. Not only this, but every time we breathe in the chest, we breathe as if we were under attack. So we are creating a mild sense of stress. Through this conversation, have you seen me move my chest at all? Like if you've been paying attention, you'll notice that my chest doesn't move. That's because I'm breathing with my diaphragm. So that's what I mean by proper breathing. Now, this would take a while. It's a habit to install, because if you're habitually breathing, it's all habit. All human behavior is habitual. If you're breathing here, one of the greatest favor you can do to yourself and your health is to start breathing in the diaphragm. And how you do it is to learn first, right? Because you want to become conscious what you're doing and what you're not doing. Is you place one of your palms here on your chest, the other one on your belly. Let me see if I can maybe stand up. So you want to be moving only this bottom hand right here on your belly. When you breathe, when you inhale and exhale, you want only this hand to move, right? You don't want the chest to be moving. Initially, it might be challenging, but give it the time, and you'll be making yourself a significant favor, health-wise, energy-wise, focus-wise, and so on. Really learning how to breathe is of fundamental importance. I don't know how else to say it. fucking learn to breathe. It's important, right? Because again, you don't want to be in a mild state of fight or flight by just breathing here. Because if you notice, not just human beings, but all animals under stress, they start to pant, right? And it's always upper in their chest. Same with the human being. Our physiology, or how our body is, directly affects our psychology. So by breathing here in your chest, you're always in a mild state of stress and anxiety. For no good reason, but just by your way of breathing. That's why it's so fundamental to start and learn to breathe in the most proper way. Now, there's more advanced ways. There's many of you might know different breathwork techniques and so on, and this is awesome too. But just to normalize this as your normal way of breathing is a fundamental thing to do, because breathing is the number one thing, right? You can go for days with no food. You can go for days with no water, but do this. Close your mouth, don't breathe, and see how long you're gonna last. Not too long, right? That's why it's so fundamental. The breath ties the soul and the energy to the body. It's through the breath that we can control these things. So becoming conscious about your breathing, especially when you're stressed out and stuff, the more you can slow down and the deeper you can make your breathing, the more relaxed you're going to start to feel. Because observe yourself next time when you're nervous. See what your breathing pattern looks like or feels like. Is it shallow and quick here in your chest? If that's the case, if you move it down into your belly, you're going to make a significant difference. Now, a more advanced version of this is deep yogic breathing, which means you first inhale your entire diaphragm, and only then you also inhale fully your chest. And then you exhale the chest and then the belly. But that's more advanced. That's if you want to be doing some energy work and breath work techniques and so on. So we're not going to discuss this today, but just breathing in your diaphragm is fundamental. Now, the next thing you need is hydration. Up to 80% of the human body mass is made out of water. So not only do you want to breathe well, but you also want to hydrate well. Breathing well, hydrating well will keep you running at peak all the time. I do mean all the time. The only thing that's optional or would just comes is a supplement in a way almost. Number one, energy source outside of these, right? These are, number one is oxygen. Number two is water or hydration. Number three is fat. Again, I already spoke about healthy fat. So adding healthy fat to your diet, because the brain itself is up to 80% a big ball of fat itself. It thrives on fat. And if you're looking for nutrition to give you energy, the only nutrition that's going to give you any energy is the fat. And it's going to be sustained, flat, and consistent amount of energy, rather than, obviously, the last nutrition we can use as energy, but the most ineffective and the one that rips havoc within the body is sugar, or anything sugary, right? Anything with carbs, anything with sugar, and so on. So we want to be mindful of this. Oxygen first, proper breathing technique, deep breathing into your diaphragm, just like babies do. Hydration, and then fat or sugar. Sugar, worst case, right? This is, if nothing else is available. The final thing that really matters, if you're going to be exercising, right, no matter what exercise you do, is 4 factors. Your posture, right? You want to have a good posture, because if your posture is poor, you might hurt or injure yourself, and that might take you a long time to heal. We don't want to. The point of exercising is not to hurt ourselves; it's to improve our well-being, right? So we don't want to hurt ourselves. We want to be always mindful of our posture. So always well-grounded, well-stepping, straight spine, shoulders back and relaxed, whatever we're doing, always having a good posture, always having a good balance. Now, the next one is your breathing. Again, without enough oxygen, you will be trying to catch your breath. The point is to never have to catch your breath, but to set your breath at a pace that will allow you to have enough oxygen within the system so you don't run out of breath. If you don't run out of breath, you don't have to catch your breath. That's the point. I see a lot of people that don't know better. They're running and they pant. First of all, here is the one fundamental difference. This thing here, this tool, is to breathe. It's not to smell. You only use your mouth to speak and to eat and to drink water. You use your mouth for this and your nose exclusively for breathing and exhaling. That's the purpose of the nose. If you want to be effective at breathing, especially while exercising, I cannot exaggerate this anymore. You want to be using your nose to breathe. Inhale and exhale through the nose. Maybe it's something you have to get used to, but it's not through your mouth. Breathing through the mouth is like you're gasping on air, right? You're trying to eat the air. Where if you breathe through the nose, the way the air pipe is built, it creates a vortex that drives it directly all the way down to the diaphragm. That's why I guess a lot of people that breathe through the mouth breathers, it's much easier for them to breathe in the chest than it is down here, because the key is to start breathing through here. The nose is like our snorkel. So always use or develop the habit to use to breathe through your nose. And then the next important thing is to be focused. The more mentally absorbed and focused you become in the exercise, the more energy you will have, the more strength, and the more endurance. You want to be completely absorbed. The more absorbed you are, again, the more energy, the more focus, the more strength, and so on you're going to be having. So you want to bring a lot of focus and concentration on whatever exercise you're doing. Plus, by doing it in such a way, you're going to be avoiding any chance of injury. And I did not mention this earlier, but I want to mention this again, or actually to add this into the conversation before we get into Q&A session, because I've given you so many points at this point. I would imagine you guys are quite overloaded and overwhelmed with information. But here's the thing. If you're going to be exercising, the first thing I want you to always do prior to any exercise is the dynamic stretching. Because through dynamic stretching, you minimize the chances of having any injury while exercising. Dynamic stretching is all about lubricating all of the joints and soft tissues within the body and getting your muscles and body warm enough so you can avoid any unnecessary trauma while exercising. Always, always, always prior to exercise, do full body dynamic stretching. Now, with this being said, thank you guys for tuning in and sitting through the whole conversation over almost 3 hours at this point. I've been going on for a long time. I need to catch my breath and have a sip of water. You guys feel free to unmute yourself and ask me a question. I would love to answer your questions now, or feel free to type it in the chat box. Either option is fine. Do you guys have any questions for me? What is the effect of night breathing through the mouth? Honestly, I have no idea what is the effect of it, but I can tell you one thing. It's habit. It's habit. It's just a habit that you have built. That's all it is. It's just a habit. That's why you breathe. If somebody does it just by habit because they don't know better. This is an interesting question. Honestly, I would look into some sleep literature on this thing because it has to do more with the sleep itself. If they normally breathe through their nose, but then at night, maybe it has to do that they have stuffy noses, right? It's possible that maybe they're unable to breathe through their nose. Maybe they have some allergies. Is that a possibility, Teresa? Okay, no allergies. Honestly, maybe again, these things that people put right here on their nose so they don't get clogged in or something like that. Maybe stuffed nose. Is that a possibility? Honestly, I would consult with some sleeping doctor or somebody who's more aware of this. You're very welcome. And as far as the second question or the next question, what kind of exercise is a key for a woman 55 and above? Number one, Teresa, movement, daily movement. So taking walks, at least walking every day, taking 15 to 20 minutes walking in the park or nature. Nature is best because it calms the whole nervous system. So yes, even moderate walks, exactly. 15 to 20 minutes moderate walks. This would be the minimum. And what is even better, I don't know if you caught this part of the conversation because we came in a little bit late, but if there is a park and there's green grass, take off your shoes, take off your socks and ground yourself or step in the grass with your bare feet. Or at home, maybe if you live in a house, you have a place where you can walk in the grass with your bare feet. Do it. This is very good for your health. To ground, to clear. And the belly, okay, well, here's the thing. The only way you can get rid of your belly fat is fasting. Nothing else is going to be more effective. I thought about fasting, or I talked about fasting, but fasting is going to be the easiest and most powerful thing you can do to start burning fat. I don't know how much of a fat you have, but the record of water fasting for a person who lost 200 pounds through that period, he was overweight. Yes, fat intake as well. But here's the thing. In order to train the body to eat fat or use fat as energy, first we need to starve it. As long as you're eating anything rich in sugar or carbs, your body will never touch the fat. The body is storing fat just in case if it's famine time. That's what it is. It's basically a supply of energy for famine time because we live in a world now when the word famine, what famine? People are obese, right? So the body, this is the body's energy accumulation system for worst case scenario. Again, if we are into famine, then the body will be burning the fat. So the only thing you can do is literally prolonged water fast. Nothing else would have a dramatic effect. You can exercise, you can do whatever. Nothing but water fast will have dramatic effects on losing fat. Just getting rid of fat and teaching your body not only to get rid of it, but to burn it first, or to use fat as energy source rather than just storing it as, again, a way to accumulate energy for famine days. We don't have famine days anymore, right? So there's no other way. It's not going to be through exercise. Forget the exercise. You have to exercise your mind out to really get the fat to move. It's not going to happen because, again, your body will still default to eating or using blood sugar, glucose, or glycogen in your bloodstream. And actually, how do you know? I'm going to give you a real interesting tip of when your glycogen has run out in the system and the body will be switching into fat burning mode. Is when this, I'm not sure how you call this organ here in the body, but there's an organ here, and it'll start to hurt. It's not a kidney; it's something else. You'll start to feel a slight pain in this organ, like this right side of the body is where this organ is located. When this happens, your body is transitioning into burning or starting to burn fat because there is no blood glucose left to use as energy source. Because most people's bodies that are not well conditioned yet and trained always default to sugar. I would definitely first start with intermittent fasting. If you've never done any fasting, intermittent fasting is the way to start. Absolutely. You don't, or the other thing you can do, again, you start pure 0 calories, water fast, and try to go for a day. And then see how you feel. How is your body feeling? Again, the record, I was sharing this with you, but I want to share this with you because it's a very interesting point. Back in the, I think it was the 50s or the 60s, there was a Irishman from Italian descent that was over 300 pounds. He was very overweight. And he decided to fast for a long time to lose the weight. And that was almost like all of the time, almost water fast or just some juices at the most. He fasted in such a way for 382 or 6 days. So over a year and almost in a month. And lost 200 pounds through the process. That's how powerful this process is and why the body's storing fat, because it's literally preparing for a long-term famine because it doesn't know. Our ancestors that walked on earth thousands and tens of thousands, even 100,000 of years ago, they didn't have access to food as we do nowadays. Just like that's why I was saying that fasting for a day and not eating anything is normal. You just have a habit to eating. And you use habit to regulate your emotional state. That's why it's so hard to break away from the habit. Our ancestors would have been lucky if they even ate once per day. Not 3 times. If they were eating 3 times per day, they'll be like thinking like they're in heaven or something like that. Keto is a great diet again, but that's only if your body is used to burning fat first. And that's going to happen only, again, by going through a fast. You need to turn on the body's desire to burn fat. And this is not going to happen because all of a sudden you stop to eat sugar and you started to eat fat. Also, you don't want to eat just fat. Fat is good, but it's not enough. And it's not from the energetic point of view, but you need all these other micronutrients. You need all the vitamins and stuff. So you don't want to go on fat right away. Better off first, what is going to be most effective How do you maintain energy? You stay well hydrated and you deep breathe here in your belly. Number one, oxygen. The only thing that's going to give you incredible amounts of oxygen. That's why people that never done any proper breath work, when they start breathing deeply, they get lightheaded. They get high because they get too much oxygen and they feel, oh, I'm lightheaded. No, it's fine. It's absolutely fine. You just never experienced this and you're freaking out. So oxygen first, hydration second. Sunlight is also helpful. So, breathing well. You asked me about what exercise. Now, here's the thing. Once you're in that age, over 50, the one thing you should be extremely concerned with is your flexibility and your mobility of your body. So exercising, not exercising necessarily, but doing dynamic stretching every single day is fundamentally important to maintain your flexibility. Yoga is also an option. So doing dynamic stretching is fundamental. You need to be doing every single day. I do it every single day. Every single day. No questions asked. You have to be. Because again, you either use it or you lose it. It starts to atrophy. And as we age, our joints, right, all these moving parts in the body, knees, elbows, ankles, wrists, all these things starts to get stiffer, neck, and so on, back, hips, everything. You don't want to be stiff and barely being able to move. So you want to maintain this. This would be the number one thing to do daily, because it's not a strenuous exercise. You don't need weights. You don't need to go to the gym. You don't need to do, I mean, you need to do it, but it's not something that requires a lot of energy. Metabolism. Well, metabolism has to do with staying well hydrated first, no stress or minimizing stress, because here's what happens. As the stress hormones in your body raise, or the toxicity stress-wise in your body raises, your body or your digestion shuts off, because your belly becomes acidic. And the moment it does, digestion, metabolism, all these things on the back burner. So minimizing stress in your life will significantly improve this. And I already said this, maybe you didn't hear it, but I'll repeat it. First and foremost, eating raw vegetables, nuts, seeds, and fruits. That's number one, because there's nothing more natural and easier for the body to digest than those things. Because they're rich in nutrition, they're rich in enzymes that help the body to digest and metabolize food, and obviously movement. Movement is good, because when the body's moving, all of the things are moving with it. And you want to drink some hot water, not like hot, but warm water, a cup of warm water before sitting down to eat. This will help your digestion too. No, absolutely. Not, but predominantly fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, and all of them raw. Because this is what is natural to our system. We're frugivorous animals, meaning that, like primates, our cousins, we are mostly, and not mostly, but built to eat that stuff. That's why when you eat, I was giving this explanation earlier, when you see a piece of raw meat, you don't salivate for it, do you? Absolutely. Less carbs. You want to remove carbs? Absolutely. The only carbs you can have are the carbs that are naturally present, obviously, in the fruit, in the vegetables. But no refined carbs is what I mean. No flour, no pasta, no rice, none of this crap. All of it is garbage, because it turns into sugar. When it's digested, it turns into sugar. You're very welcome, Teresa. I'm glad. What do you commit to? Motivation is great, but motivation is like the gas in your tank. It runs out. You need to refuel. So what are you committed to? What are you going to do tomorrow? Wonderful. I love that. Breathing is fundamental. Breathing is going to change everything. It's a game changer, like literally a game changer. If you know how to properly breathe, you're going to have a lot more energy. You're going to be a lot more calm and centered, and you're just going to be experiencing life from a very different perspective. So breathing and then staying well hydrated. I see. Okay. Yeah. Here's something you can do. The more you slow down your breathing, the more you can slow down your mind and your body, right? And here's the thing. Active mind, active body. Active body, active mind. So meditation will be something, it'll probably be a challenge, but it'll be something for you to definitely look into as well. That will definitely improve your health on a lot of different levels. I see. Well, keep your spine straight. If you have to sit for prolonged periods of time, keep your spine straight. And every 30 minutes, I would say, stand up and move. Stretch your body, right? You catch your hands like this, right here, and you just rotate, just to move. Go like this, right? Just stand up and move. Don't be sitting down for prolonged periods of time. This is the worst thing you can do for your health. Literally, we're not built to sit down. We're built to walk. Unless you want to have back problems and so on. I probably mentioned this earlier. Maybe you noticed this, but I use a stand-up desk. I cannot work from a chair. I hate sitting down. If I'm not eating, what's the point for me to sit down or meditating? The only two times you'll find me sitting down is eating and meditating. That's it. And I'm not saying you should be standing up all the time, but standing up, moving, right? You need to move this technology. It's what it's built for. It's not to sit in a desk. You're very welcome. I'm glad I can serve you guys. Very, very glad, and I'm glad you've been asking these awesome questions. This wonderful. I would love to see if you guys have any other questions, or feel free to go with it. But in a little bit, I'll be closing off this conversation because I still haven't eaten since yesterday, and I'm looking forward to putting some nutrients and fuel into my body because it's been a long day, and I've been up since 4 o'clock in this morning, and it's already 9 o'clock here, so it's been a long day. I do not recommend protein shakes, honestly. I do not. They're crap. You don't need a lot of proteins. You need a minimal amount of protein. There's a big misinformation out there that you need a lot of protein. You don't. Protein is a very minimal thing. The best thing, actually, I'm glad you asked this question. The best thing, actually, for getting your protein, and not necessarily protein, but the building blocks of protein, which are amino acids. That's what you need, not the proteins. Fuck the proteins. They're garbage. Forget about it. What you need is amino acids. And the best source for amino acids are eggs. You want to get omega-3, grass-fed, organic, pasture, whatever, best quality eggs, and gently boil them and eat them. That's it. That's the best source of amino acids. Full spectrum, or the full gamma of amino acids, because you don't need the protein itself. the protein plays a very, very minuscule part in the buildup of the cells. It's literally all you got to be creating is a lot of inflammation within your body, especially if it's animal product and so on. And all these like protein shakes, you don't even know what they're processing it through. Most of it is garbage. It's all chemicals and crap. So forget about it. Plus, if you eat a lot of raw nuts, they're already rich in protein. So you're not going to be missing on the proteins for sure. Honestly, about the supplements, amino acid supplements, I cannot tell you with all honesty how effective they are from the perspective of how able is the body to absorb them, right? Because the eggs, they're eggs. The body will absorb them, even if you eat them raw. With those spews and so on, who knows at best. So that's why I always recommend the eggs first. You can try them. You know, just I'm not sure how effective the body is of absorbing them because they're not natural to the body, right? These spews, they look cool and they're small and very easy, like you pop one. And I've taken them myself for a long time, supplements and so on. But honestly, I highly doubt that the body absorbs even 50% of it. If anything, from what I read, research and so on, is at the most, maybe they absorb up to 25% at the most. Most of it is just, you either piss it away or out of the exhaust. So you don't want to be taking this. You want to prioritize the most natural ways it occurs in nature, right? The most natural form. You don't want to be taking it in any processed way. Thank you. God bless you too. God bless you too, Teresa. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate this. Thank you. Here's something I want to share with you guys. If you don't have any questions, I'm going to start wrapping up the webinar, but I have some resources I wanted to share with you. So guys, you can, ladies, because there's no guys left. But let me share some resources with you. So the first one I want to share with you guys, and I say guys including everyone. Let's see. All right, there. So the first resource is I'm extending to all of you a complimentary coaching session. Let me see if Camille was, yeah, she's still here. Camille was on she attended my last webinar on what did we talk about last time? Oh yeah, meeting, attracting your soulmate, or love and romance. And she took me up on my offer and came for a complimentary coaching session. And she can type her comments if whatever her level of satisfaction is, and the amount of takeaways she got. She has a lot of homework now. Maybe maybe that makes her happy. Maybe not. But I'm extending to all of you who decide to take me up on my offer a complimentary coaching session to empower you, inspire you, and educate you on something important, overcome a challenge, take advantage of an opportunity that exists in your life right now. Whatever it is, let's crush it. Let's make it happen. Click on the link or copy and paste it, because I don't think it's actually properly working, because doesn't seem that the thing is reading it right. But actually, let me see if I can retype it again and get it to work. But I'll be happy to serve you guys powerfully. Why is this thing not working? There's something off. Yeah, actually it appears that the L, there it is. All right, so this is the first link for the complimentary coaching. I also have a 5-day holistic transformation challenge that you can sign up and take. The first class or the first lesson is all about health, and there's going to be a lot of points that I've addressed here, but also others too. So it's video content and also a lot of powerful worksheets that I recommend, exercises that I recommend you do, and it's delivered through email. So I'm going to, let's see if this is going to be, all right, yeah. I think this actually is going to work. Well, not necessarily, but this is the link. If you type, let's see if I can type it in my, yes, all right. Again. Find the actual links for you guys because this is kind of annoying that it's doing this. I thought that by typing them down and having them ready for you will be effective, but hey, as I love to say, life always throws you a curveball, a little challenge here, a little challenge there, always testing you to see if you're keeping you up on your toes. And here's the link. I'll grab the link from here. So sign up. It's amazing value into, oops. Well, actually, I've been just sharing these privately with Teresa. My bad, but let me post them all in the chat for everyone. I didn't notice it was. So this one I'm gonna post in the chat is for everyone. I mean, it's for the Holistic Transformation Challenge. The next one is for booking your coaching session. And also, even though the webinar crashed, we were able to recover the first part of the video before it crashed. And now this part's been recorded. So all of it is going to be uploaded on my YouTube channel. And there you can also find plenty of different over 1 hour long lessons on all the webinars I'm doing in the upcoming weeks. So you can guys see if you're interested in any, learn something more. Also, we go through this webinar. There's a lot of points, a lot of value here. So take some notes and so on. So I'll be posting in a couple of days. Go to my YouTube channel and check it out, or just subscribe to it so you'll be notified once the webinar is uploaded. And the next link, let's see, where is this? The next link will be actually my YouTube channel, followed by my Eventbrite page. On my Eventbrite page, you'll be able to find all the different webinars coming up. I have 2 more this week, and then 6 more next week, and then a whole bunch of webinars in the coming month. So you can guys see them. The lessons video are actually embedded into the webinar listings or the events listings on Eventbrite, so you can actually see and learn again. If it's something that resonates with you and you're interested, you're more than welcome to join me again. As you can see, there's plenty of value and a lot of insights there. So come along and join me for another amazing webinar. The next one is coming up on this Wednesday is how to, let me see, just to make sure that this is what we're going to be talking about, is how to develop self-empowerment, or how to become a machine for just doing and going and feeling amazing, always confident, always having this inner empowerment, always knowing, feeling centered, grounded, not looking for validation, just being the king or the queen, rather the queen in your own life, and coming from this place of, I can do it, bring it on, live, bring it on, challenge, bring it on. I'm here to play full out and make the most out of this amazing game we call life. So this is what's going to be my next webinar on. So we're going to be talking about how to basically become our own coaches, championing ourselves, empowering ourselves, and always like wiring up our psychology for success and for thriving in life, regardless of what curveball life chooses to throw at us. So again, as you can see, you have the first one is, the first link is for the Transformation Challenge, which I do recommend you signing up for. It's free and available if you want to. There's going to be plenty of value. You do all the exercises though. There's a lot of, each email comes with a different exercise worksheet that you can download, keep, and work on. So I do recommend working on it. And then we have the free complimentary 1-hour coaching session. And next, my YouTube channel, which I recommend subscribing to because there's already plenty of stuff. And the recording for my last webinar is actually up for the soulmates, or how to find your soulmate and attract your soulmate. So if you're interested, it's again another 3 hours long webinar. So check it out. All the lessons in there, videos from before that I've created on different subjects. Now this would be, let me actually open my Eventbrite link so you can guys connect or bookmark my Eventbrite page, where all of the upcoming events and workshops and so on are always listed, because I always list things on Eventbrite. So this would be the link for Eventbrite, and you can again, you can look through all of the different webinars I'm doing in the coming month and the month after, and join me for each one that you're interested in. They're all on amazing topics, a lot of subjects, and again, the lessons, they're full 1 hour long video lessons embedded in each of the listings for each webinar and Eventbrite, so you can again watch the lessons prior to see if this is something that you're interested in, and then we're gonna go much deeper, right? And be able to take questions and so on and so on. And finally, if you guys are interested, you're also welcome to follow me on social media, on Instagram. So you guys are welcome to join me and follow me on Instagram. I share stories, and also every time I post something new, I'm starting a new, very interesting podcast coming up in a few weeks from now. I already recorded the first episode, but I'm waiting for my next guest to come along, so then we can have some continuation of the way the content is dripped down on a weekly basis and so on. So this is going to be an exciting project that I've been working on and looking forward to. If anyone has any questions, I can take one last question, or if no questions, can you please at least give me guys thumbs up, or share between me and everyone else what was the most powerful things, the greatest insights you got today, or what are your takeaways? What are your main takeaways? And what are you committing to doing tomorrow? Because that's the most important thing. If you don't take action on all the things I shared, nothing's going to be changing. All you're going to be doing is knowing more. Knowing and not doing is the same as not knowing. So focus on the doing, not the knowing. Absolutely, yes. Water and breathing, these are fundamental, right? Because the one thing that we immediately don't last without is oxygen. The second one is water. Food, we can, again, this overweight man fasted for over a year. So we can go without food. If we have enough body fat, we can sustain ourselves for a long time. Long time. Great. No, absolutely, Teresa. Definitely focus on the breathing and the hydration. These are number two. These are the number one things. And also, hydration will help you with metabolism, because the quicker more water you drink, the quicker your metabolism is, right? Because this is how all, again, water and electrolytes is how the cells exchange information and all the exchange of all the chemicals and so on takes place. So you want to be drinking. The more water you have, the quicker your metabolism it is. The less water you drink, the more stalled or slower your metabolism becomes. And that's the first thing I'm going to do now because my big cup is empty. That's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to have a huge, like at least one of these full of water. So unless you guys have any other comments, anything like this, it was wonderful, wonderful, wonderful to be able to serve you. Thank you for sticking around for 3.5 hours or so for this webinar. Hopefully this was valuable to you and you learned a lot of powerful insights and you have many major takeaways. Again, subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you want to rewatch or see the recording, I'll post it in a couple of days once I have the time to edit it and upload it. I'm glad I was able to serve you guys and to add so much value. Again, hope this was valuable. The fact that you sticked around to the end means a lot to me. I really appreciate it for being my audience and being willing students and willing to actually commit and do something for yourself, because what are you doing by taking action is you're going to be investing in yourself. And that's when you take action is where the rubber hits the road or the magic happens. So you want to be, as soon as tomorrow kicks in, you get out of bed, get on it, because the sooner you do it and you put it into practice, the sooner you'll be able to start enjoying the benefits that are guaranteed with this. It just is going to take a little consistency, right? So keep on at it. Be consistent, be persistent, don't give up. You're well worth the investment. And I just want to make sure that you guys got the links, because once I close the webinar, I'm not sure if it's going to remain. So make sure that before I say goodnight to everyone, that you guys save and bookmark the links. Okay, yeah, for sure. I'll give you a moment.